This is your host, Tia. This is your host, Tia. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Top 10. Live. Geek Vibes Nation. Geek Vibes Nation. Nation. The Top 10. The Top 10. That's what you do. I always do it. Skype to start recording. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Top 10 for Geek Vibes Nation. As always, I'm your host, Tia, and I have with me after her 2-week hiatus from the Top 10, I'm so glad that she's back, my partner in crime, Brittany. How are you doing?
I was going to say she sounds like, oh my God, I love you, but she will murder me. I need that on record. I need that on record. Brittany
showed up late this morning, and it did give me a little bit of stress, anxiety. I just grew up with it being stress to me that being on time was a very important thing, and so that
keep in mind. Okay, so we'll talk about like the 2 weekends I was gone, but I will say, besides those, I've always been on time. And you know what? You know how they say a broken clock is right at least twice? I just still happen to be wrong twice every now and then, possibly, maybe.
I mean, there was one time, probably about a few months ago, that you slept in. I didn't hear from you till like mid-afternoon. I was like, this bitch. But we're not here to walk down memory lane of Brittany oversleeping, because that's something that happens quite often. No, I'm joking. Oh, I'm just very happy. I'm just very happy that you're back. How does it feel to be back after 2 weeks? I will say that I had Bryant on last week, and we did a great job breaking down the top 10 best couples in movies and TV shows, kind of like a late Valentine's Day top 10. And it was pretty interesting, but, no one can replace you.
Oh, that's the nicest thing you've ever said. But you're lucky I wasn't there for that one.
Because it would have been Hannibal.
It would have been Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, man. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome, by the way. Brittany loves Silence of the Lambs. She loves Sir Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, and will find any excuse to put him on any list. And it doesn't matter what list it is, she will worm. And listen, no judge. I've done that with plenty of people. I just know that every time I'm going to see Hannibal Lecter and Clarice on my list.
Dude, okay, it's a given. I mean, how can I not, though? Have you seen him? Have you seen her? Have you seen such a true love? Gross. Never mind. Somebody's going to come for me.
But what was I going to say? Yeah, I'm happy that you're back. And I'm happy that you are back for this particular episode, because it is one that I've been waiting for us to do. It is the top 10 best American Gods moments from season 3 so far. So just to let everyone know, first of all, there are going to be spoilers, obviously. And this podcast is going to cover episodes 1 through 5. So then Brittany and I... What'd you say?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I guess I heard myself for some reason. We're doing episodes 1 through 5 here, and then we'll get back after the season finale to do episodes 6 through 10. Normally in the past, we've done American Gods Season 1 Best Moments and American Gods Season 2 Best Moments, but I kind of like this, that we're breaking it up with, the first half of the season and the second half of the season, just because then we can really dive into such amazing scenes without trying to squish them all into one podcast. But Brittany, what have you been thinking about American Gods season 3 so far?
I think it's probably the best season between Tech and Bilquis and Shadow. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I fully disliked Shadow for like a long time. I did not think he was cool. I did not think he was fun. I thought he was just boring. I was like, dude, I don't know why we have you here, but I don't like you. And like, I don't know, he's actually been very tolerable this season.
I would have to agree with you. I'm loving season 3. You know, there was went back and re-listened to our season 2 where I talked about how people could not stop talking about the behind the scenes drama, and I was so tired of hearing about it. And I feel as if I'm more aware of the behind the scenes stuff that happened before season 3. So it made me a little nervous just how people were going to say receive it. There's a lot different, right, in season 3. It's no more really a road trip. It's kind of stationary. You have a lot of characters, a lot of new faces, a lot of characters that never existed within the book that are just being made for the show. So not that I was hesitant. I was just really curious, and I'm loving it. I feel that it's very on track. It feels like you can tangibly know where it's going. And as you said, I think Shadow's great. He's not boring anymore. I thought he was so boring the first 2 seasons.
He was so dry. He was so dry. Like, I wanted to make a Gordon Ramsay joke, but I can't. I let it go to you. I couldn't think of anything good, but just know there was a Gordon Ramsay joke in for how dry he is.
That's right. No, exactly. I mean, it feels as if Ricky Whittle has given a little bit more personality to the character. And there was something I was thinking about with Bilquis, right? So, you know, in the first 2 seasons, like obviously Queen, right? And just so majestic, but almost as if like she wasn't even, say, a person. She was more of like this thought process, because it's like all we really saw of her was just kind of like this very like centrally moving person, and she said only maybe a few lines and all that. And in season 3, you know, she has this personality. She's, you know, discovering herself. And, you know, episode 5 was where she has this like really nice conversation with Shadow that you wouldn't ever think would happen in American Gods, and that was so amazing. Like she's funny, Bilquis. I'm telling you, she's funny. I know this will probably be on our list, but I'm going to mention it really quick. Like when Tech Boy was trying to recruit her again, and she's just like, no. Like, to me, just the timing of that was so hilarious. Or how she told Shadow that, you know, the path to spiritual awakening is best with fries. I'm like, Bilquis is kind of funny. I like this side of her.
There was so much in there with, like, Bilquis. I was like, because we always liked her, and I feel like, you know, that was kind of, like, the meme with her, with, like, oh, the vagina nebula, and, like, that was more of what I knew about her than anything else, because it was such a jarring moment and kind of set the stage for, you know, for the whole series, because you're like, what the hell just happened? So it's nice to, like, actually truly see more of her, of, like, her thought process, what she's been through. Because I know we got, like, her past before, but I did feel like she was more used for, like, shock value initially, and to see her actually, like, fleshed out as a character is super nice.
100%. I have to agree with you. I'm just loving the attention to details with all of the characters so far. Before we get into our list, I do have the one last thing I wanted to ask you. So we're doing episodes 1 through 5. I know you haven't watched episode 6 yet, but it's not too much of a spoiler. It's in literally the advertisement. So Danny Trejo makes his appearance as Mr. World in episode 6, which I think is phenomenal. But what do you think about these different worlds? Because we have Crispin Glover still playing Mr. World. We have Dominique Jackson playing Miss World. And we have Danny Trejo playing another Mr. World. So far, I'm loving it. But what do you think about it?
I do too, but I almost wonder, do you think that they're able to, those different personalities are able to interact with one another? Because remember when it goes, someone's handsome, and you're like, who? What? Huh? Is Miss World saying that? Is he just like, I don't know, stroking himself? Like, what was that moment? And I may be looking too much into it, but I am curious to why he would suddenly say that out of nowhere.
Yeah, it did seem a little strange. I always felt as if Crispin Glover's version of Mr. World was a little, unhinged. We saw that in season 1 where he decided to do a whole thing where he talked about what Shadow Moon's mother's orgasm face was. So, he's always been a little,
yeah.
Remember? Remember that?
I do remember, but like my brain must have blocked it out because when you said that, I was like, what the fuck? And then I went, oh yeah, that happened in like one of the first episodes.
So he's always been a little like peculiar. So I'm not sure what that is, but I don't know if they can interact with each other. I think maybe I think the whole thing is just that world is just ever changing, right? And I thought that it was an interesting choice. And I'm not going to. I know that I said that this podcast was spoilers, right? But spoilers for the things that we've already seen. I was talking to. His name is Michael Cook. He's on Twitter, Thoroughly Modern Review. He is a fantastic American Gods super fan. We actually did a podcast before the 3rd season came out, and he and I exchange theories every once in a while, and the both of us have read the book. So we know the big reveal at the end. And we know the big reveal when it comes to a certain character that we've just been talking about. And we both wondered how they were going to do this reveal in the context of, say, the show. And he was saying that with them showing that Mr. World or World can be interchangeable, that would make sense as to how they would integrate the big reveal. And I'm not going to say it, because I don't know if they're going to go in that direction or not. So I don't want to spoil anything. But them introducing that there's different versions of World, I think would help them explain the big reveal if they decide to go in that direction. Does that make sense?
And it's like, by the way, I had someone like IRL get upset with me because I said, "Oh, I hope they don't go in that direction." Like actually salty about it, and I was like, "Dude, it's because I've gotten so attached to like everything. I really like the way things are going now, and I'm like, I get, there's a certain way the book goes, but."
I was talking to Michael about it where I said before I wasn't really hip to it. Like when I first read the book and saw the reveal, I really disliked it. But I think the way the show is going, that I wouldn't particularly mind it because I think now it would make sense. But either way, I'm good with it, if that makes sense. If they can find a way to make
the idea.
I'm being warmed up by the idea with the different versions of World, what they're doing with Tech Boy. I'm warmed up to it as opposed to before. But let's just get, we're talking so much and I love it because we always do this with American Gods. Like I think that those previous 2 podcasts that we did are some of my favorite just because we just love the show so much and we really geek out. I mean, I thought I was like a pretty big Marvel geek, but I have to admit that I think American Gods like just takes the cake with my geekiness. And I've never been a book nerd like that, if that makes sense. Like people love the Harry Potter books, right? And so they want to see, obviously, the movies reflect the books, or people who are, say, fans of Twilight. They're so enamored with the book, they want to see it done well in the show. And it's like, I never had a book where I was like, oh, well, in the book, this is what happens. Like, in the book, this is what happens. So it's a very unique situation for me with American Gods. But Before we get into our top 10, as I said before, I feel like I have to keep saying there are going to be spoilers. So if you haven't watched episodes 1 through 5 yet and you don't want to be spoiled, go watch those, then come back and listen. And of course, I always have to give a shout out to our good friends over at Stranger Damies. Stranger Damies is the Real Play D&D podcast that is part of the main Damie family of podcasts. We had one of their amazing members, Dan, on a couple of weeks ago, and we had Mark as well. We just haven't had Anthony yet. So we've had 2/3 of the Stranger Damies crew on the top 10. They're amazing guys. They do they're Stranger Damies, so they're, Dungeons and Dragons podcast, which you can find at Stranger Damies both on Twitter and Instagram. They're also a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. They're part of the main Damie family of podcasts, which also does a podcast called They Call This a Movie, which is probably one of my favorite podcasts. So make sure you just check them out. They are amazing people. They put a lot of dedication into their craft. And just from, knowing a very little about D&D, I know that you have to put a lot into D&D in order to do a campaign. So they put a lot of effort into it. Make sure you check that out and just tell them that Tia and Brittany from the top 10 sent you. But Brittany, let's get into this. What is your number 10 for our top 10 American Gods season 3 moments so far?
I think I'm going to go ahead and start from episode 1. Because I really love that whenever we see Shadow kind of come back and we see he's trying to live a normal life, right? And he's working at one place, but they're going to end up doing a background check on him, and you can tell he's like, ugh. And as he's sitting there and as he's like, oh, my life, I'm having a really good time, but, this that you can tell something to stress him out, he sees a little old lady. And he goes, I am a gentleman. I will help her. And she, is all, feeling up on him. And you're like, okay. And she's like, oh, you're strong. My husband, he's dead. And you're like, okay. And you see the old lady's group. No, can we talk, though, real quick? I thought she was actually going to end up being, like another goddess and was going to scare the shit out of me and was going to plan on murderizing him. But no, you know who it is. It's Mother effing Odin, Mr. Wednesday himself, who's just fucking with him. Which I love, by the way. I love, by the way, that whenever he's realizing what's going on and he's trying to pull out of her grip and she's just holding on so tight as she's talking about what was it, forgiveness or whatever, because she could tell, because Odin knew that Shadow was so mad with him, and the way he, pulls back, and she freaking flips him the bird. I can't remember, did she do the up yours motion or just flipped him off? Because I'm pretty sure I remember a skinny, old, gloved finger going up.
Yeah, she totally just, gave him the bird.
Yeah, which we see Shadow repay later on, but, and when she's gone, and he turns around and sees Wednesday just sitting there grinning, I was like, oh no, the demon himself has come back. And so, I don't know. I know it's such a small scene, but I love it because it really sets the stage of what we were about to witness, especially because, we have seen this relationship between, I think what I like so much about it is season 1, he's kind of weary of Wednesday, but he's more of a puppy, as Laura Moon would say. And in season 2, we see him so wrapped around Wednesday's finger, because he's really accepted what he's doing. So in season 3, where he knows who his father is and knows exactly why I'm trying to think, dislikes him, because you have the situation with his mother, and to see them, kind of really at odds. Because before, Wednesday had him really wrapped around his finger, but I want to say that Sweeney's death really changed that, too, because he saw how bad Sweeney wanted him dead.
Yeah, I felt as if, so, again, not to go, but the book, in the book, Shadow finds out Shadow finds out that Wednesday's his father much later in the book, realistically towards the end. So I actually really love that they decided to make Shadow find this out before Lakeside, because it does help with a transformation with Shadow. Finding out that Wednesday's his father, Sweeney's death, finding out that Wednesday is the person who had Laura killed, it really adds a different dynamic. You know, in season 1, Shadow was kind of apprehensive at first of Wednesday saying, like, oh, if you piss me off, I'll walk away. But we never saw Shadow walk away. He was continuously just there as a, say, we really didn't know necessarily what he thought. I mean, yeah, he was a little freaked out, but he remained next to Wednesday the whole time. And as you said, in season 2, he's very much wrapped around Wednesday's finger. But in this one, he's very much like, I don't trust you, old man. I'm tired of this. I want a normal life. Get away from me. And even when he, like, say, goes with Wednesday, he's still very, like, apprehensive. He's just kind of like, fine, I'll go to Lakeside because it'll help me, but I'm not paying attention to you at all. So I love the little scene with the little old lady. It really kind of creeped me out. They got like the perfect, what'd you say?
It did. And all I sat there when I was sitting there watching it with Aaron, and we both looked at it, and I was like, what must it be like to get a little old lady that gets this line about basically, because she kind of like implies that she wants to like fuck Shadow, doesn't she?
In a way, it's, yeah, I think so, and it's very very unnerving.
And we were talking about, like, oh, if I was an old lady actress, I would have the most fun, because, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, there's something about being able to be that goofy with it that's just, like, hilarious.
100%. I definitely agree. It's a small little scene, but kind of lets you know that no matter how much time has kind of passed, Wednesday still has his eyes on Shadow. And it's interesting that, by the way, that time has passed. 3 months, I believe, has passed since the events of season 2. And it's interesting that whole thing that happened, right, caused them to almost take a break from the war, take a break from each other, because season 1 bled into season 2. But we have this little bit of a time jump. And it's kind of cool that, like, Shadow immediately just stepped into trying to live a normal life, trying to do some work and all that. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, I know there was so much drama with the season, so I really was, like, prepared to be disappointed. But honestly, this has been my favorite season so far. Like, no joke.
Yeah, I agree with you. To me, I feel as if it's only gotten better as the seasons go on. I still very much like season 2. People harp on season 2 because it did have some directional problems, and, you know, it had problems with the showrunner and all that. But I like season 2 better than I like season 1. Even though I love season 1, I like season 2 a lot. And I love season 3 so far. I love what it's doing. You know, yes, it has its drama, right? Obviously, what's the, how did they say it again? Like, what's the elephant in the room, right? We know what happened with Orlando Jones, and that was a lot. And that sucked, honestly, because he was a fantastic character. Brittany and I, our both previous American Gods podcasts, have put scenes with Orlando Jones numerous times. I actually re-listened to our American Gods season 2 podcast where we said, oh, can't wait for the Mr. Nancy scenes. You know, obviously that sucks.
You know, like the Arrested Development theme where it goes dun 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 dun. You know, like when somebody really fucks up, like something ironic happens. That was us.
Yeah, that was definitely us. So that happened. Then later on, this didn't happen beforehand, but this happened just a couple of weeks ago with a certain rock singer. You know, I was like, God, American Gods can't catch a fucking break. But I will say that I think it was a really good idea for them to take his remaining scene out. You know, I think it was a really good idea for them to announce that they were going to do that. I thought that showed a lot. And as someone who, again, I got like press stuff, right? So I know a few spoilers for upcoming episodes, and his remaining scene wasn't important. It gets explained between two other people. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't that big of a deal, and I'm glad that they did it. You know that they were sitting there going, God, we cannot handle any more freaking controversy. Just cut his fucking scene.
And at first I was like, why? Because it has religious undertones, more like overtones, but you got me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is? I just, you know what I think it is? Like, part of the reason I like this show so much is because it reminds me of Supernatural and why I love Supernatural. You have a setup between certain characters, and they kind of take on their own life. You're on an adventure. You feel like you're kind of going in a linear path, but you can also have sub-stories, right? Side stories. But I feel like Supernatural could be very dramatic on that front, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I love it. I love the whole show, and this is a great way to start off the podcast. So number 10 is The Old Lady and Shadow. I'm going to hit number 9, and it's going to be, whatchamacallit, how am I going to word this? It's going to be Dominique Jackson's introduction as Miss World, pretty much.
Ooh, that's a good one.
First of all, I loved it. Like, I love the whole setup with the New Gods in this season, right? I love that they're in this like really corporate building, and that we have the children again. Remember the children from season 1, and they're back, you know, the faceless thumb people or whatever. And that Miss World has kind of transformed them into, say, her little workers. I saw something that under like the cast list, they're cast as like different social media trends. Like one is like viral video or something. Like, so they're all like, say, trends on social media, and you see them all kind of like working through and everything, whatever. But, you know, Dominique Jackson, it makes a lot of sense. And Dominique Jackson just, say, commands like such an audience, right? Something that maybe we didn't see with Crispin Glover's Mr. World. I mean, obviously he demands an audience, very eerie character, you know that you don't want to fuck with him. But I think that was even like pushed home even more with Miss World, especially, first of all, especially in that scene where one of the, like, the thumb people or whatever says something how, you know, Miss World is overreacting because Miss World is like, why is Odin getting, you know, worship from this Norse, you know, death metal band? And they're all like, oh, it's no big deal. And that one guy is like, you know, you're really, you know, being over dramatic or something. And freaking Miss World literally beats his head in with a baseball bat. I loved it. I just loved the aesthetic of it, and I loved Technical Boy just sitting there as blood was getting splattered on his freaking face. So, yeah, that's my number 9. Brittany, what do you think?
I was going to say, that scene was so good. Like, I think, like, for me, it was one of those things where it really set the scene for what we're going to see, because all I could sit there, I was like, oh no, like, you ever, what's it, what do they say? It's like, color me scared and horny. That's how I felt about Miss World. I was like, oh no. Like, I knew, like, when she showed up, because Mr. World always terrifies me, right? Like, he's just a scary dude. He's creepy. But I think why she's so scary is, like, she's not creepy. She's just so dangerous, you don't know what she's about to do. Like, if I was a character in there, I'd be like, it's just either going to go one of two ways. Either I'm going to do exactly what she says, or my head's going to get caved in. There is no in-between. No in-betweens.
No in-between whatsoever. I loved it. I loved the whole aesthetic with her. I love the personality that Dominique Jackson brings to Miss World. Like, this isn't really a scene, but do you know the scene where they're looking for that tech guy who goes, missing? I mean, we know what happens to him, but they don't know what happens to him. And Bilquis gets caught, and Miss World sees Bilquis on, like, a screen, and she's like, oh, this bitch! She's like, of course, this bitch!
Snorted so hard when I saw that, because it was just, like, the epitome of someone just fucking done, where they're like, can you fucking not for 5 fucking seconds?
That was exactly what that was, and that's why I love that little scene, like, oh, this bitch, so much. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Crispin Glover as Mr. World interacting with Yetedi Badaki as Bilquis, because, they had that amazing interaction in season 2. But I would have loved to see Miss World interact with Bilquis. That would have been amazing.
It's funny because you're sitting there, and I think what it is like the whole series has been them trying to get her on their side, and her doing whatever the fuck she wants with, like, no consequences. And so she was probably like, God, like, how many times you gonna fuck me over, lady?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I thought it was interesting that their focus was still trying to get Bilquis on their side, because that's that scene between Miss World and Tech where Technical Boy's like, are we good? And first of all, I love the quick explanation, right? Because at the end of season 2, we see Quantum Boy, and we're like, all right, this is cool, but, what we really love about Technical Boy is his, personality. This guy doesn't really seem like he has a lot of personality. So are we going to see more of Quantum Boy in season 3? And they were like, no. And I loved Miss World, like, you fucked up your own upgrade, and you still haven't gotten Bilquis on our side. And it was interesting that it's like, even after that conversation between Mr. World and Bilquis in season 2, that they still want Bilquis on their side. And it's like, why? Why is Bilquis so important to what you're doing, especially when you figure out what they're doing is, what are they calling the Church of the Mind, where they're essentially looking to, like, control everyone? Why does Bilquis fit into that? And it's, before I go back to you, I think it is like with the Matt Sweeney thing, right? How Odin didn't want Matt Sweeney to go to, the backstage because he didn't want Sweeney to realize that he's this powerful god. It's that Bilquis has forgotten who she really is, and it's like they know how powerful she can actually be, whereas, like, even she doesn't know how powerful she can be.
There was a point I was going to make on that with Bilquis. By the way, can we talk really quick about how, like, you would think, like, the gods would be able to fuck with the humans so bad, but, like, did you not notice it's like Mr. World was like, oh, I can't do anything for you like this?
Like when he speaks to Bilquis, like, I can't help.
Yeah,
like, I thought the same thing when, say, Wednesday is trying to get Demeter out of, say, the old people, or, the old people's home, where it's like, she's a god, can't she just, like, leave, And I think that gives into, remember what Quantum Boy said in season 2, like, you're not made in our image, we're made in yours. So it's that, and then also, depending on how much worship you have is how strong you are, and if these old gods don't have as much strength, then they don't have, say, the power. But yeah, I mean, Mr. World would realistically have a shit ton of power, but I just guess that it's the same thing like Miss World, because Technical Boy was like, why can't we just do this? Why do we need these people? And Miss World is like, we need them to think that this is their idea. I guess, like, that's just how worship goes.
That is kind of interesting, though. Like, I know that's kind of like a sub point. I was just sitting there and thinking of that situation. I was like, why? because he ends up like being like, yeah, I can help you if you, turn a new leaf, but it was interesting that even getting there was probably a chore.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that sometimes that maybe doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense with American Gods. You know me, I just kind of like smile and shrug it off anyway. But yeah,
Smile and nod.
but it is interesting. But yeah, so my number 9 is Miss World's introduction. Brittany, what's your number 8?
Let me look here. I think, I'm trying to think about like where I want to put it at, but I'm gonna go with I'm trying to think of the best way. I'm gonna call it Demeter's introduction
Okay.
because first off, so we have where we're sitting there and we really haven't seen any Greek gods, have we? Like I'm trying to think of any other Greek gods we've seen.
Well,
And
we saw, I'm sorry to interrupt really quick. In season 2, wasn't the whole thing with Argus that it was like Greek mythology, but it really wasn't told very well that you would get that whole Greek mythology from it.
I ain't counting the tentacle fucker.
Go ahead.
That scene was so uncomfortable. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't like it. I'm going to say that what I loved about it is, so first off, Tia knows that my favorite Greek mythology story is the story of Persephone and Hades. And the reason I'm like, the seasons are because Demeter, 6 months out of the year she mourns not having Persephone, and 6 months out of the year, she's so happy to have Persephone back. And so whenever he goes there, and he goes with the flowers, and he's not realizing it's like an asylum, right? Like for elderly people that maybe got a little senile, and seeing her in full practice and her walking up, and you think like, oh shit, like, he really is putting on the moves, that we don't know how manipulative, how he's gonna be in the situation. And him looking at her, and you're like, oh my god, he's actually like, into her. Because I don't know if they explain there or afterwards that, Demeter is his wife. And you're thinking, okay, he's just a scumbag, why did he leave her? And they just look at each other, and then she slaps the ever-loving shit out of him. And I just could not stop laughing because I felt like he deserved it so bad. All the shit he's done throughout the series, and then she just slaps the shit out of him. I was like, oh, that's been a long time coming, to be fair. I don't know. I just really got to see Demeter, and like the way she's like this ethereal beauty. Because at the beginning we got to see like, when she was younger, and like she was just gorgeous, and her like bringing in the crops for these people, and and the girl was like dying from like laboring, and you're just sitting there and you're like, oh, she really pulled through. And to see her older and just not taking Odin's shit was so good.
When they first cast Blythe Danner as Demeter, right? I said that to Brittany because the whole thing is, again, not to keep going to the book, I'm so sorry, but in season 1 we were introduced to Ostara, right? Easter, and the thing is that in the book, Easter actually has a pretty pivotal like responsibility towards the end of the book, right? When it comes to Shadow. But the actress decided to leave after season 1 once the original showrunners, Brian Fuller and Michael Green, left, right? I guess out of loyalty to them because maybe she's worked with them before, whatever. So it's like, all right, what are you going to do when it comes time for like Easter to help? Well, instead of recasting, there's a million other gods in different mythologies that do the same exact fucking thing. Get Demeter, a Greek god of the harvest. So when I said that first to Brittany, she was like, Tia, do you know who Demeter is? And I was like, no, I don't know. And that's when she explained how she was Persephone's mother, and it's just so wonderful. And yeah, I love the introduction. I loved Wednesday, utterly smitten with Demeter. Even Cordelia was just like, shit, like, all right. you know?
What I think gets me is like, and this kind, this was what's happening on later, but what really gets me about Wednesday and her is that, I'm trying to think of the word for it. The whole time, you're sitting there and going, yeah, he's just fucking her over for her money. He doesn't care. Why would he care? He's always been manipulative, and even like Shadow seeing that. And I was thinking, oh, this is just another play by Wednesday. But when they have that moment, which I don't know if that's on my list, I'll have to check again, so I won't go fully in depth with it. But like, the way whenever there's an interaction between them and the way he looks at her and the pain in his eyes, I'm like, oh, fuck. He actually does care. Like, this isn't just a play from him. And it just, like, I don't know, it kind of, like, knocked the wind out of me. I know that's kind of silly, but, like, it really, like, caught me off guard for him.
No, I completely agree. And, not to talk too much about it because the episode literally came out today and it's not part of this list. But in episode 6, it goes into their full history and why there's so much pain between them. And it really takes you off guard because this is Wednesday, the swindler. And the thing is that everyone keeps trying to accuse him of, say, just wanting Demeter for her money. The character Tyr that gets introduced, the dentist?
Yeah.
Even he in, say, like, episode 6 is saying, you're just there for the money or something like that. And it's like, no, you can tell that it has nothing to do with the money. It has nothing to do with the money.
He himself tries to say it. He even is finally like, oh, I make money, like, very, like, plays into what people think about him for that situation.
Well, and I think the thing is that Wednesday, again, based on what we now know between him and Demeter, has put up, like, such a front to deal with the pain that they had to deal with. Brittany, you have to watch episode 6 today after we get off. Like,
I know.
It's full of Demeter and Wednesday. But yeah, I love Demeter's introduction. Bly Danner again is just, she herself is just this like ethereal being, right? And so to her playing this character was so wonderful. I'm sure it's on your list, but that scene where she meets Shadow and she explains her relationship with Wednesday to Shadow was just heartbreaking. And I loved her slapping Wednesday. That was great. Wednesday needed it so badly. It was like, oh, she's doing exactly what we all want to do.
I think it's just her just 100% done with this bullshit was so amusing to me. Because you're so used to him, like the reason Chernobog, like, just likes him so much because it's slippery, so you're just like, fuck.
Yeah. Exactly. But I love it. So yeah, no, great. Number 8. I'm looking at my list because I'm like, shit, I have a lot. I kind of like, I have so many like in my mind, right? Good scenes. But I want to go to a small scene again because I do love it. I have to tell you one thing, right? When I was reading the book and when all right, everyone loves Lakeside, right? Like, people who are fans of the book love Lakeside. Even Neil Gaiman, the writer, has said that his favorite part of the book is Lakeside. Ricky Whittle has talked about Lakeside. When I was reading the book, I didn't really like have that big of a connection to Lakeside. I don't know why. I just didn't feel it, right? But I feel it in the show. I love Lakeside. And my pick is, my number 7 pick is Hinselman, who they actually gender bent for the show, which I really like that. that decision, my number 7 is Hinselman introducing Shadow to Lakeside. I love it. Like, I just love that you have this town that is really old and has such a rich history, and people really love the history of Lakeside. And Hinselman is this, nice little old lady who's kind of the, unofficial mayor of the town, even though she just runs a tchotchke shop. And her, I just love how she talks to Shadow. Like, she sees Shadow walking along the road, and she's like, God damn, Shadow, I told you to get in that very, like, Minnesota, Wisconsin accent, I told you to get a jacket. You're going to freeze to death. And her just, like, bringing him around to get him, like, a good jacket, explaining the frickin' town to him and its history. And then Chad taking Shadow to go get some pasties over at Mabel's. Like, I love it. And it's a very nice little introduction to this town that seems so sweet and so good. And then, of course, we know what happens later with the disappearance of the young girl, the panty thief. This town is, say, not as whimsical as you may think.
I'm still wondering, like, I was sitting there going, oh, the panty thief, but they seem to actually be worried about it right now. And to me, I wasn't super worried about that, but they keep bringing it up. So I have to assume there's going to be some kind of deeper meaning to that.
I think, well, first of all, it does get questioned in episode 6. I think the thing is because they have such a, like, nice little town, they're kind of like, there's a pervert running around breaking into our houses and stealing our lingerie while we're not home, or maybe while we're home, and that's frightening, and nothing's being done about it.
That makes sense. Poor Chad. He's just trying his best, Tia. Chad's just trying his best.
He's just trying his best, but, I mean, what do you think about Lakeside, Brittany? You yourself coming from a small town.
I don't know. I really like it because I wish, like, our town was just that intimate, where it is very, like, cute. Like, yeah, everybody knows everybody, but I don't know, the feel of it's so pure, if that makes sense. Yeah. Even though we know, like, later on it's, like, that may not always be the case, yeah, with everything going on right now. But I personally love it. I think it's the cutest thing. There's other things that happen. I'm just like, oh man, that really sucked. But never once am I really stressed out while watching, and I appreciate that because we all know I am a stressed little bitch, and I don't like being stressed out, Tia.
I love the whole thing about Lakeside. Like, any scene in Lakeside, I love, right? I love Marguerite, her interactions with Shadow. I love Hinselman. I love Chad. I mean, his, like, bromance with Shadow is so pure. Like, when they thought for a hot second that Shadow could have something to do with the disappearance of Allison, I was like, no, no. And as Brittany had texted me, she was like, I'm glad they didn't spend too long on that, and they quickly, say, exonerated Shadow. But it made for, like, the funniest, like, awkward scene between Chad and Shadow, where Chad's, like, trying to apologize about the optics of, him questioning someone like Shadow, and him just being so awkward about it. I don't know. I love the Lakeside scenes. Anytime we're back in Lakeside, I'm like, oh, this is great.
I love it too because I think, like, I didn't, whenever you initially said it, I was like, what am I going to like about it? Like, not in a bad way, but you're like, okay, what is it that's so interesting? But I think it's, like, it's definitely also a good break from the fast pace of everything going on in the season. It just gives you a chance to relax and kind of catch your breath.
Yeah, no, exactly, 100%. So I just love everything Lakeside. I love Hinselman and all that. I can't wait to see what happens more because it feels as if Lakeside is at a boiling point with the whole disappearance of Allison and the panty thief. I think that we're slowly seeing this nice, quaint little town not being able to, say, deal with the fact that they have these crimes going on, and Chad not being able to deal with the fact that these crimes are going on, and we're going to see it not be this dainty little town that we have now come to know. But yeah, so that's my number 7. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You know what vibes it gives me? Stranger Things.
Yes.
Because
yes.
You got the top, you have the strange happenings, you have people going, nothing ever happens in this town, and nobody really believing when certain things are going away, and like a disappearance that is really shocking the town. What does that sound like?
No, you know what? That's so true, because in Stranger Things, right, their whole, like, I think Hop even says, like, do you know that there hasn't been, like, a murder in this town in the past, like, 30 years or something, or 50 years, right? They talk about how, like, nothing happens in, Hawkins. They're like, nothing happens in Hawkins, ever. Even to the fact, I don't know how much of Stranger Things you watched, but in season 2, they literally have a guy going to the sheriff's department to complain that, like, his pumpkins are smashed. Like, I'm sorry, that's just something that doesn't get reported in New York, you know? But that's how small of a town this is, that something like that gets reported. So then you have in Lakeside where it's a panty thief is the biggest thing for them, up until obviously a girl going missing. I think Chad in episode 6 says something along the lines that, like, Lakeside has 97% less crime than, like, any other municipality in the state of Wisconsin. So it's like they are very much not, it's like they're very much not used to anything happening. Like, it's surprising they even have police. Because it's like, what do you even need police for? That's probably why Chad works.
Job in the world.
That's probably why Chad even works as, like, a taxi cab driver sometimes with them. You know, he's not a real taxi cab driver, obviously. Like, but, you know, that's how little the police are doing, that they have the time to just, you know, take people to and from their house. That's crazy.
He's like, I'm bored. I need something to do.
Yeah, so I guess just as you said, Brittany, it's a very cushy job. There's no crime. What do? You just sit there.
That's how Hopper was. He's like, he had it made. He came into work whenever he felt like it.
Well, oh God, I love Hopper. Coffee and contemplation. The mornings are for coffee and contemplation.
I love it. She still tries to come after him, and he's like, and he repeats it just a little bit.
Coffee and contemplation.
That's gonna be with the mom. Like, they'll be like, Mom, come on, and you're like, and just repeating it.
I love it. So yeah, that's my number 7. Brittany, what's your number 6?
Let me see here. Let's see. Okay, since this is my number 3, correct?
Yes.
I'm gonna do it with Laura Moon coming back.
Yeah.
And my reason why is because she's sitting there. She's sitting there, and she's, like, in purgatory, right? And we're seeing that, like Sweeney's body has been found. And you're like, his body was in rough shape. But by the way, why did nobody else, like give a shit that he was dead? Like, I guess because I guess they thought maybe he was just a homeless man that died, which is pretty fucked up. But I would know why nobody actually gave a fuck, for one. But watching her in purgatory, and I love the janitor dude. The dude that's just, like, chilling out, and, like, she sees him, and she's like, dude, I need help. And he's like, oh, I'm getting coffee, because nobody makes good coffee back there, right? And they're talking. And I sat there, and as the dude was, like, cleaning up where Sweeney's body was, I sat there, and I went, well, didn't she need the blood to be able to live? And she doubted his love for her. Like, the whole time, she doubted that Sweeney actually loved her. She thought, like, oh, he was just using her. She couldn't accept that, somebody who truly did love and care about her for, keep in mind, for what she truly was, because she was a fucking dick to him. Like,
Yeah.
he really loved her for what she was. And I thought that was so, rare in that circumstance. And as the dude's cleaning, I was like, he's going to step on that bottle. He's going to step on the bottle. There's no way he's not going to step on this bottle. And when he did, and the blood mingled with it, Tia, like right before he was about to wash everything away, 'cause the whole time I wondered, I was like, how are they going to bring her back? How are they going to make this happen? And it was just so pure, Tia, like actually knowing that, like, that was all the ultimate vindication we needed for that scene. And her instantly being sucked back and just sitting there naked. And the poor dude that was, like, cleaning up is just, like, shell-shocked. And whenever she's talking about, like, oh, yeah, I'm responsible for why he's dead. And the dude, like, kind of backs up. And she's like, oh, I can't kill him. And he's just still, like, staring at her, like, so suspicious. I was like, this is the best day ever. But, dude, I wanted to cry so much. Because can we also talk about the music that plays every time?
Yeah.
Every fucking time. Which, by the way, the girl that plays Laura Moon sings that. And I was so shell-shocked. I was like, oh, my God, she can sing, too? Is there nothing this woman can't do? But I don't know. I know it's such a small scene, and I am kind of pointing out the smaller scenes, but it's because it's such an attention to detail and finding those moments worthy enough for a character that was only supposed to be there 5 seconds and just have a quick death to actually see him, like, I don't know, have that send-off.
No, I mean, I feel like we've been building towards this, right? First of all, we have Laura and Sweeney who had their little road trip in season 1, right? Where, I mean, I was already shipping them. And you could already tell that there was some guilt with Sweeney, because if you remember in season 1, right? What did Sweeney tell Laura every step of the way? As soon as I have the opportunity to get my coin back, I'm going to take it. I will pluck it from you. And there's a scene in season 1 where their freaking truck flips over and her chest opens up and the freaking coin bounces out. He could have easily just, like, picked it up and kept going. But he puts it back into her because it's like, oh, shit. And he even says, I think, at some point to Easter, like, I don't want her dead. And then we see in season 2, like, how much he's just, like, going on this little road trip with her, trying to get her back alive, bringing her to the Baron, And the thing is that Laura was so, like, kind of not even paying attention to him, really, a lot of the times, until, say, like, season 3, she literally, like, opens her own chest up to get the coin out, to give it to him, which, like, I will admit, I was so frustrated with that because I was like, why did you put it in his dead hand? Why didn't you, like, put it in his mouth or something, Why, Laura? But sorry,
watching that scene, we were like, could you have not done that in any, like, better way? Like, even just a little bit? Like, could you not?
Like, I get that the coin was keeping her alive, so taking it out, like, like, she was then dying at that point, but, like, you could have put, oh my God, you could have put it on his fucking mouth, all right? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But
why not put it on his chest?
Yes, something, Laura. But I guess she really thought that, like, it would be fine. Maybe it would just be, like, instant. I don't know. But yeah, like, everything leading up to that was just showing how much they actually cared for each other. I mean, they did a fucking montage. A montage. You don't do a montage just for friends, okay? Like, that montage was romantic as fuck. Yeah, okay. That little fucking montage. And first of all, I love her being ripped out of purgatory because it reminded me of season 1 where she's speaking with Anubis and she just gets ripped back out. It's like she's constantly just getting like ripped from death pretty much. And her, as you said, like also that whole moment, I had such anxiety when they took Sweeney's body away. First of all, I was like, oh my God, he's going for cremation. So fuck. And then you have where frickin' you don't know like what's going to happen with the vial. And finally when he steps on it, it's like you were just waiting for that vial to just like touch the blood. And when Laura like sits there and actually realizes like it worked because of Sweeney, I was like, I'm dead. I'm dead. I can't. I can't. This finally gave us the fucking vindication. Like, do I want Sweeney back alive? Of course. But this is almost like as good as that because I'm like, at least the show acknowledges this shit. You know, it's not just in my little like shipping mind. The show acknowledges this.
At least you know with every beat of your heart that someone
when Salim says that to Laura, I'm like, no, stop.
Deceased. Now I am deceased.
I love that, by the way. I don't know if it's on your list. I don't know if it's going to make it on mine, but I love Salim and Laura speaking about it because, first of all, like their like friendship has always just been so amazing. And this season, it's just, I feel like with this season, everything so much more is on the table, right? Yeah. They're not all having their head in the clouds. Like Salim is going through some like real depression and going through some real emotional problems. And him speaking to Laura, and it's like
shaken.
His faith is shook and everything. By the way, I got into like a discourse about that with someone on Twitter. I was like, I feel really bad for Salim, right? And someone's like, oh, why? Jin will be back next season and they'll rekindle. And I was like, no. I was like, I don't, like, yeah, I care about that, obviously. But I was like, he lost his faith, you know? That's a hard thing. And the guy, like, was, like, such a Islamophobic freaking statement, goes, oh, why? Because he can't get 72 virgins? And I was like, no. Like, I shouldn't have even responded because at that point the guy's just being an asshole. But I was like, think about with any religion, like, you literally losing your faith, especially for someone like Salim who is so devoted, and literally not stopping to pray or saying that he doesn't even know who to pray for what. And I was like,
recognized how like traumatic it was being on him.
Yeah, exactly. She, you know, because that was the thing.
Anyone.
Well, that was the thing. Like, Laura's always like not believed in anything, but even in season 1, when Sweeney was, you know, pissed off that they had to stop a million times, Laura was like, shut the fuck up, just let him pray, you know, like being, so, I mean, that was incredibly sad, but yeah, like Salim, you know, just realize, like, not knowing about the Jinn loving him or anything like that, and then telling Laura, like, yeah, you're, you know, in this situation, but you at least know that like Sweeney loved you. And I'm so happy that they got away from Laura trying to rekindle shit with Shadow, because I'm like, it ain't about that anymore, right? Like, it's about them. It's about Sweeney and Laura.
I know. I just love them, and I just want him back, Tia. I want him to come back, and I want everything to be fun.
It's like, part of me, like, when they handed Laura the cremated box, I was just like, no, his body's not even around anymore. But then I was like, but they're gods. Like, they could find some other way, you know. So faith is on the line. Yeah, no, that was so, I want Sweeney back so badly.
It's only so much hurt my heart can take, Tia.
I was like, oh, come on. I think I told you on the phone the other day that Ricky Whittle does this thing on Instagram every Monday called Moon Monday, where he goes on Instagram Live and he talks to other actors that are in American Gods. And he's had the actor who's played Chad before. He had one of the Orishas on. And then last week and this week, by the way, he's going to have Danny Trejo on, which is pretty cool. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah.
But last week he had Bruce Langley on, who plays Technical Boy. And I guess as they were doing their Moon Monday, Musha Kresh, the guy who plays the Jinn, was like messaging Ricky, like, you know, just funny stuff. And they were talking about how much they love Musa. And Ricky's like, oh, I can't wait to get him back. He was like, I can't wait for him to come back. He's like, you know, that's the great thing about American Gods. The Jinn can come back. Matt Sweeney can come back. And I'm like, what do you know, Ricky Whittle, that I don't know?
Tell me your secret.
Is that you just speaking generally, or do you know something? Because I feel, and I'm just going to say this really quick, right? It hasn't been officially renewed for a fourth season, but I read an article like months back that said American Gods was secretly renewed for a fourth season. And during Moon Monday, they take questions from like the chat, and someone said like, hey, how long do you think that American Gods can last for? And Ricky's like, oh, 4 seasons. Like, didn't even like kind of hesitate. And I'm like, do you guys know something? Like, is there a 4th season that's happening? And share with the class. And by the way, let me tell you, I'd be fine with 4 seasons. As long as they know that that's all that they have, so that they can wrap up the story. Because right now they're in Lakeside, which is the climax of the book, you know?
Yeah.
And so if they do everything that they need to do in season 3 and they use season 4 to like do the aftermath that's spoken about in the book, then that's fine. I'm solid with 4 seasons. I just don't want it to end at this season. But yeah.
Me neither.
So great number 6, Brittany. I'm going to hit number 5. I'm trying to look at my shit because I'm like, I only have 3 left. I have so many things, and I'm like, but I have to prioritize.
Do you ever sit there as you're doing it and you're like, fuck, I know I'm going to remember something else, and I'm going to go, why the hell did I pick this out of everything?
I do that all the time. Where I'm like, Jesus Christ, Tia, what the fuck?
Fuck, Tia.
I have a feeling that like every single one of my next ones are going to be Technical Boy related, so YOLO,
Dude,
I guess.
I'm here for it.
And my number 5 is going to be 1893 version of Technical Boy.
He's so cute, Tia.
So, whatchamacallit, like, I was totally surprised in season 2, right, when we got 1930s version of Technical Boy, Telephone Boy, right? Especially after, you know, I don't know if you remember in season 2, this was after Technical Boy was quote-unquote retired. So I'm like, oh my God, are we not going to see him again? And then you see 1930s Telephone Boy, which was such a fantastic episode, great scenery. But, you know, Telephone Boy, while, say, not as bitchy as Technical Boy, was still kind of very arrogant. You know, he tells Al, like, oh, your bubbly's flat, your girls are cheap, you know, shit like that.
Yeah, he's kind of a dickhole.
So when episode 5 opens up, right, and they're talking about the first World's Fair, which, by the way, American Gods is so cool in talking about, like, Americana shit that, like, maybe you didn't know about. And I feel like in season 3 especially, everything means something. It always comes back. But so, yeah, so they're talking about the first World's Fair and frickin', you know, I had a feeling, right? Because they kept talking about, like, Mr. Ibis in the background was saying, like, oh, they introduced new technologies. And I was like, are we about to see, like, a version of Technical Boy? And when they first showed it, I was like, oh, my God, this is so cool. These origins right now, right? You have, like, the automaton, which I will admit was a little creepy looking. What did you call it, Brittany?
Valley.
Yeah. I will admit, a little creepy. I was like, oh, a little creeped out. But there's so much in this that I want to talk about, and I probably am going to dive a little too deep into this, so please don't mind. But whatchamacallit it, like, this version of Technical Boy being so meek and timid and showing off his automaton, and people say not being that impressed because it can only say do one thing, and him trying to convince everyone to stay and they don't. And there's several things that he says, right? He tells Maximilian, this magician, he says that, he would have been in, say, a school, but he lost his application, and that he says things like, he's spent so long on this and all that. And then there's that one part where Maximilian goes, can I buy you a drink? And he says, no, and Technical Boy goes, no, I'm a son of temperance. And I looked that up because I was like, what the fuck is that? And they were a brotherhood of guys who were really against consuming alcohol. So much so that it was part of their thing to go and tell people about how bad alcohol was. And it was more so a brotherhood in the sense that it, had a lot of benefits to it and all that, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, that's interesting. Why make this character that? Is that why Technical Boy vapes? What? Why?
Know.
Yeah, why does that have any sort of value to put that in there? But the one last thing I'll say is, I want to Maximilian could have caught these hands for hurting. Because at first, you think,
baby,
at first you think he's helping Technical Boy because he's saying, hey, you gotta dream bigger, you gotta fake it till you make it. And at first you're like, oh, this is really cool. And then he smashes the freaking thing to show everyone that it's not the automaton that's playing chess with this woman. It's Technical Boy, manipulating everything. And, oh, if you want, something real, come to my tent. And, there's Technical Boy just crying in his automaton. And Maximilian is just grinning at him. And by the way, again, I won't say this over the podcast because I don't want to spoil anything, but I have a freaking theory as to who the hell Maximilian is. But yeah, so that's my thing, that whole little opening with the automaton and 1893. I love it. I was like, my poor baby Technical Boy is crying. I can't deal with this. So yeah, Brittany, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are this is what I want to know, is we have Technical Boy, and we see that, he talks about school. Do you think that these gods are originally people before they turn into gods?
I have that feeling. That's what my true feeling with this is.
Because he talks about temperance. He talks about this. He talks about, and then we have people saying they forget who they were. You have Sweeney, who was, a god, but a god king, right? And it's why would they add that they had actual lives? They had wives. They had this. I just feel like they originally come from someone or something where I don't feel like they just poof into an existence, even though, they said that's how it was with aliens, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I there's something so much more to it.
Part of me doesn't know if it's, say, all gods or maybe just the new gods, since their whole thing is that they're just the personification of, say, these new things, whereas because the new gods are more so ideologies, right? Whereas the old gods are actual beings. So they're with the old gods, you're actually worshiping, say, an individual, where with the new gods, you're worshiping concepts. So I'm not sure if it's say all gods or maybe it's just the new gods. Because again, who I think Maximilian is why I have this theory that Technical Boy was originally a human and plucked due to, say, his vulnerability and made this way. I don't know. It's very interesting because to me, that didn't feel like a god because there was no worship
like
at that point.
Child. It felt
Yeah.
like a child with a big hopes and dreams. By the way, not to get, I won't get into the full story here, but you remember why I hate, welcome to the real world, kid. That phrase, I felt like Technical Boy just had that moment, but with him.
He definitely had that moment.
I felt triggered. I felt attacked. I felt seen. I felt attacked.
Oh my god. I was like, you bastard Maximilian, you deserve to be fucking punched in the face. Like, how dare you? How dare you?
Not
I
our
was very
Technical
upset.
Boy.
Our Technical Boy. I love that Technical Boy has gone, like, in season 1 I couldn't stand him. I was like, this little bratty bitch. And then as time went on, I'm like, I love him, baby.
I know there's something about him that makes you want to baby him, where you're like, oh, he's just a child. I like his style a lot more in this season. In the other seasons, I was like, I hate his outfits, I hate his hair, I hate his face, I hate it, I hate his existence. And now I'm like, oh, he's the best.
He's the best. No, I know. They're definitely like just something wonderful happened with Technical Boy in season 3. But I just look. My thing is that as I was saying that, I feel that with season 3 everything happens for a reason, and I feel like them showing us that like scene wasn't there for nothing, right? There's a reason why we needed to see this beginning of Technical Boy and see him being very vulnerable and, you know, the start of everything. I just feel like that was there for a reason.
There's a lack of confidence. Now looking back, a lack of confidence in Telephone Boy when he's facing off against Odin, where you're realizing like there's almost something still childlike about him at that moment.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that what you would calls it, like I don't know what I was about to say here, but I don't know, like Technical Boy is such an interesting character that just continuously surprises me. And I can't wait to see more with him. But yeah, so that's my number 5. Brittany, what's your number 4?
All right, let me see here. Because I'm trying not to take anything off of yours because I have a lot of thoughts, but not a lot of brain. Let me see. You ever have like where your phone likes to mess up and you're like, geez, thanks. I'm gonna go with. I'm trying to think. I'm going to go with Odin getting himself put in the institution.
Yes.
I remember messaging you and going, is this all an act? Because I was panicking at first. I was like, there's no way. There's no way after everything that's gone on in this series that suddenly now this asshole is having like a breakdown. And I was like, and as I sat there and watched, I was like, that fucker is going to get put in the same institution as her, isn't she? And I sat there and I watched and saw it happen. I was like, motherfucker, he's clever. But I love it because, you know, we start out with, you know, Johan, you know, played by you-know-who. Johan, like, by the way, did he want him to explode the whole place?
See, that's the thing I don't know. I am a little lost on that front. It's like, was that purposeful or was that something that Johan just did because he's a berserker and he has clearly some anger issues? You know, or like, what was the point of that? But then it's like, we see Wednesday obviously have this whole plan to act loony so that he gets sent to the place. So it's like, was that whole explosion part of that plan?
I know, there's so much that, like, I still want to know, but I thought it was so clever. As he was sitting there and he was wandering out, I was like, what the fuck is he doing? And by the way, how did he rip his pants off so easy? Can we talk about that? Did you see that? He like just reached out. He had like stripper pants on, Tia. He had like this polo leg pants. And as he like stripping, and when he freaking shakes his junk at the people driving by, I was like, oh my god, no he didn't. No he didn't. And like, and what's her name? Is it Cordelia?
Yeah.
As she like, you could see, she actually really does care about him.
Yeah.
And I think that's almost tragic because I feel like he's going to break her heart. I feel like he's going to spit her out.
What was I going to say? Yeah, no, I mean, you could tell, like, Cordelia really cares for Wednesday. Because even when she's on the phone with Shadow trying to convey, like, hey, your father isn't doing well, and Shadow is, you know, really just not caring in that moment because he knows Wednesday, but Cordelia doesn't. So she's just kind of like, you know, I'm going to be here for you Wednesday. Like, I'll stay with you. And it's going to be interesting when Cordelia finds out about everything.
Because does she know what he is?
She doesn't know what he is right now. And I actually had the opportunity to speak with Ashley Reyes, who plays Cordelia before the season came out, and she explains that Cordelia doesn't know. It's the same thing, like, remember in season 1, Shadow didn't know who he was until, like, the very end or something, you know, or didn't even realize that he was a god until, like, later. And you're like, how do you not know? And I feel like it's the same thing here. Maybe Wednesday has something where it's like, if you're around him, he doesn't want you to know. It's like you become kind of like naive to all of the signs because he's not very good at hiding it, to us at least. But apparently to everyone else around him, he's fantastic at it.
Right. I like, by the way, that the freaking bar place just liked him because, like, oh, he's a legend because he took a motorcycle up in the ice. And I was like, really? You're going to go break into a dude's house because of that reason? Like, that couldn't have been planned by Odin, because if he had, he needed those guys to pull off that heist for him. Remember? Like, he needed them to go get that suitcase.
Yeah, so I don't think that was planned by Odin. I think that he took advantage of the situation, you know, seeing, like, it happen, and he was just like, oh, I'm just gonna, like, now pretend to be fucking crazy because this actually works out for me. He's not a dumb guy. He's very smart.
I love when Demeter, like, I know this kind of like got us a point where he's like, oh, you know, I'm taking a step away, and she goes, and he's like, you know, it grows weary on my heart, and she's like, dude, that basically invigorates you. That's kind of your thing. No longer, it's not something you really just take a step away from.
Yeah, no, I know. Whatchamacallit it? Demeter, like, totally is exposing Wednesday in this whole thing, right? Like, she knows him so well that she's just like, you can't bullshit me. Stop it.
Yeah. I just think she's just like a beautiful ethereal woman.
She's so wonderful. I'm telling you, I love her. And yeah, so this is a great scene with Wednesday just acting very loony to try to get into the institution. I couldn't believe that he was trying to get naked. And I will say that I was a little fooled as well. I kind of thought that something was wrong with Wednesday. And I was like, oh, wow, are they going in this direction? And then I was like, oh, no, he's just bullshitting.
Yeah, that's why I messaged you. Because remember, I messaged you like, Tia, what's going on with him?
I wanted to ask you, because this we haven't really spoken about it. And I know this isn't like on the list or anything, but, you know, this is what we do. We always go like off trend. What do you think about Cordelia right? Like, and her character in general. Because I sound like a broken record, but she wasn't in the book. And she's a completely different character that is kind of taking the place of Shadow being like Wednesday's driver, even though she is very different and their dynamic is different. What are you thinking of Cordelia so far?
Okay, at first, like, as bad as it is, I didn't much care for her. I was like, oh, she seems a little aloof. She seems like, oh yeah, I'm the bad girl, and I just kind of hang out with this dude, and, it's just like, she seemed kind of cocky, I guess.
Like, I'm too cool.
Like, I'm too cool. She almost gave me, like, the girl from The Punisher vibes. You know who I'm talking about? The kid?
Oh, yeah. Amy, I think her name was? Yeah.
But I warmed up to her, and the reason I warmed up to her is because she goes out of her way to help Shadow and explain that, like she cares about Odin. Like, I think, like, every episode we keep seeing a softer side of her, and I feel like she really looks to Odin as, like, a father figure. And it's, like, almost like she just wants to make him happy, but it's extremely hard for her because you can't, like, it reminds me when I was working on the road and I had, like, my boss was, like, much, much older than me. And he said, stop trying to impress me because it's never gonna happen because I'm never happy. And he laughed about it, but it stuck with me. And I feel like that's how Odin is. Like, you almost have to stop trying to impress him because he's never gonna be satisfied. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. And you had said earlier that, Wednesday's going to break her heart because Shadow is his son, right? So, even though the veil gets pulled from Shadow's eyes, like, Wednesday still wants him around. But I feel like Cordelia is expendable to him.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. So I don't think that
I like her
cares.
now, though.
Yeah. No, and I agree. I felt the same way as you. Like, I will admit that I kind of thought that it was a little weird to introduce a character that it knows, say, like, hacking skills and stuff because Wednesday was always so opposed to having, like, a cell phone and everything. But I think it's just kind of like being, like, realistic. I mean, it's 2021. What are you doing? Yeah. You need the shit. I think I started liking her more, say, when she wanted, like, the little scene, right, when they drop Shadow off to go to Lakeside, and, she gives Shadow her hat because she's like, I don't want you to get cold. Or when she, I personally loved when they did number 37, the heist.
The 37 was awesome. I thought I was highly amused the entire time.
I was highly amused, but also, like, for the dude who got his briefcase stolen, I'm like, really? You just place your briefcase that has really knowledgeable shit on the couch while you go to the fucking buffet? Like, come on. Everyone knows not to do that. Us women know, like, if you have a purse, you don't just put it on a table and walk away from it. Like, come on, dude.
It kind of reminded me, like, whenever I last visited you in New York and we were on the subway, and you always tell me, make sure you don't put, because, I always put my phone in my back pocket. And I was like, okay, I get it, And there's just certain things you don't do in a highly public place. Like, I would be in the middle of Walmart and be like, I need to go do something. Let me leave my suitcase here, because there's a good chance when I come back it's not going to be there.
That's what I'm saying. To me, the most unrealistic thing about that whole heist was the fact that this guy who supposedly has a laptop in there that has really sensitive information on it decides to just plop it down on the frickin' sofa. Like, you
And why
idiot.
are men so stupid when it comes to women?
Oh, yeah, it's like you see this pretty woman and they're like, eh?
The old cartoon where, like, the tongue lolls out?
Yes, yeah. In Looney Tunes,
like,
yeah.
oh my God.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, he was a sucker for her. I mean, she didn't even have to do anything, really. She just, like, pretty much,
Her
like, stood there.
awful. Her wig was awful too.
I sat there and was like, oh, that's a bad wig. That's a bad wig. But
Hey,
men
hey,
don't care.
Sweet
Men don't
Pea
care,
did that
apparently.
big work. I guess she can do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I did think it was great, though, that she, like, pretends to be the police operator as he's like, someone stole my shit. And she's
I
like,
would be like, you leave it out in the open? How'd you know?
yes. I loved, by the way, in that Shadow having his like Australian accent with the glasses and everything.
Well, by the way,
He
but
did it.
that dude was so stupid. I love I love number 37, but did you not feel like it was all a little like too convenient, too well happening in a lot of places?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
No, 100%.
like, cause when he did the Australian accent and stuff, and he's just like, "Oh, dude, just take my phone. It's a company phone." He's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, and somehow this random Australian dude just knows how these people work in pairs, and like, don't even try to go to them for the cops because they're not gonna do anything. It's like, yes, they would. Yes, they would.
My favorite, what you call it, not heist in that sense, was in season 1 when Wednesday's like, I'm gonna rob a bank, and you're like, oh my god, it's gonna be like with guns and da da, and it literally was him like pretending that the freaking drop box for like checks or money was broken and they had to give it to him. I was like, that is not the way that I expect you to rob a bank, but I guess it's efficient.
Yeah, you know what that reminds me of?
What?
There was I run my parents' eBay shop, right? And I had that exact moment because I got there right at 5, which is when they do the pickup, right? To pick up the mail out of the mailboxes, like by the post office. And the dude had his little cart there, and he just reached out his hand because he was like, oh, and to throw it in the basket. And I was thinking, what if this dude doesn't actually work for the post office? And he just took my package and like, because it would have been so convenient. It would have been perfect.
It would, yeah, no, it's like so convenient. So that's why, to me, I thought that was the most realistic one, because I could see it happening. It was very clever. I did though like the one they did in season 2 with the bishop, where like Shadow acted like the FBI agent and everything. I thought that was good, but yeah. Where they get a jacket? Yeah. I thought that one was good, but
that was played out. Like I did love number 37, right? But I had to also keep like my expectations down for how fucking convenient everything was.
Yeah. No, 100%. I agree with it. But I loved your number 4 with Odin going to the institution. Let's go on to number 3. By the way, really quick, I wanted to mention this because I should have put it on my number 5 as like a conjoining. So can I alter my number 5 a little? Do you mind?
Yeah.
So my number 5 is the 1893 Technical Boy with the automaton. I wanted to mention that I also loved at the end of that episode with Technical Boy running into the automaton. Like that's like still having it.
Too. Like it's so sad.
It's so sad. He still has the automaton, and as he's feeling in his most vulnerable, that's where he goes to hide out because that's where he hid out. Like, oh my god! Like his character is just so like multifaceted, like more so than you would ever think. And I was like, he kept the fucking automaton.
No, it's so sad because it's like it almost reminded me of like a child running for their blanket.
Yeah. 100%. That's exactly what it reminded me of. I totally thought the same way. And again, just it adds so much to Technoboy. I love it. But yeah, so I just wanted to mention that. with my number 5, just with the whole automaton thing, which I looked up a bunch of pictures of those afterwards, and they're fucking creepy. The Uncanny Valley. Everyone, by the way, also my dog apparently is deciding to bark in the background, so if you hear that, don't mind it. But I'm going to do number 3.
Tell them.
As I said, I think that these next few ones are just going to be Technical Boy related, so excuse me, but it's going to be Technical Boy and for number 3, Technical Boy and Bilquis.
Oh,
yeah. First of all, again, I love their interactions, right? I loved in season 1 when he like met her at the museum, and I love this when he's like at the door and he's like, whoa, look at what you're wearing. Whoa, look at this room. Like, just so like ridiculous, where he's like, wow, look at everything. Amazing. And he like tells Bilquis that he gave like the guy that she was supposed to meet $50 to go like whack off or something. And he has this like whole moment where he's telling Bilquis that, you know, their team is going to win and that she should be a part of their team and all that. And she's telling him no. And he's talking to her about the war. And I love how angry she gets because she's so done, where she's just like, what do you know about war? She was like, what have you seen about war? And when she like gets him up against the wall and like pushes her fingers like against his chest, and him having this like moment of where, to me, it looked very like Vietnam War-ish, where he's like he's running through like a forest and it's raining and he gets shot.
That's
and
so
then
sad.
It was so sad. And then he kind of like wakes up and he's like, what the fuck did you do to me? And he runs out. And it was only till after with a interview with Yetide Badaki where she says essentially that, you know, her thing is like she's a love god, and she pretty much like has this power to like instill empathy in people. And essentially what she did was essentially just like wake up his emotions. Like, instead of having as this like cold analytical sort of person, like pretty much like opened him up to like what these feelings actually are. And that's
so
why
sad. Like, but in a cute way.
But yeah, so that's what I want. I love their interaction. I couldn't wait for Bilquis and Technical Boy to have another scene with each other. And I just love how 100% done she is with him. Like, as I said before, I loved her delivery of just saying no. When he's like, we need you on our side. No.
That's me as a parent. No.
No. I loved it. Their interaction was better probably because, you know, now they've had a few seasons and their characters, their friends and everything. So the whole tension and interaction between them. Like, I loved when Bilquis said to him, you know, I'm not a prostitute. And he's like, we all are in some ways. You know, just pretty much saying, like, we're all pawns in this, like, war game that's happening essentially between Wednesday and Mr. World.
I just, you know, you think about it, Tech has probably never had any choice but to be with them and be anything else than what he, you know, currently is.
That's what I imagine, that it seems as if he's never worked independently away from Mr. World. And I will say that there's a line in episode 6. I'll tell you after we stop recording. But there's a line in episode 6 that I think also really kind of reveals that.
Oh, I don't know if my heart can take any more of this season, but I'm ready for the hurt.
I'm ready for it too. I'm just like, give me more. Give me more. I'm so happy that there's 10 episodes this season as opposed to the usual 8, because I'm like, there's so much that they needed more episodes to tell the story.
I know. It's almost like they're playing catch up to move the story along because so much other stuff happened, but it's like we're here for it.
I'm totally here for it. I'm along for the ride. I'm loving it. My number 3 is Technical Boy and Bill Quist's scene. Brittany, what's your number 2, which is actually technically your number 1. So let me know what you got for us.
I am gonna go, I think, with Laura learning that it was never her fault.
Oh my God, that was such an emotional scene. Go ahead.
It's like, so, we see Laura Moon who's getting to see her past, and she won't let the woman just show, like, she's supposed to see, like, her life in full, and we realize, Laura's like, I'm the reason my parents got divorced. I pushed them together. I pushed my father to have an affair. All these things. I'm an awful person. I started their string of infidelity. All these things. And it's like, as it goes on, finally, that one lady loses her patience with her, and she's like, no, you're going to sit and you're going to watch. And you're like, okay, what's that about? And you sit there, and it turns out she was just a little girl. She didn't push her father to have an affair. He was the one that told her to stay behind so he could go meet this woman. He was the one, like, she didn't hardly say a word the entire time. She was just a little girl, and she was just, like, doing what her father said, and that she's lived her life fucking her own life up because she blamed herself for what her dad did, and that she could have had a good life, but she had so much blame for herself. And it's so tragic. It's so sad. And when she just realizes and starts crying, and also when that woman touches her shoulder, I felt like Laura needed that. I feel like she's so off-put all the time, but really, that lady just needs a fucking hug.
I feel like that's what it is. She put such a wall around her.
And it's like, did you not want to hate Laura at first?
I felt like I never really hated her. I don't know why. I guess because it's like, yeah, she had a lot of flaws, but I feel like it's okay for people to have flaws.
Yeah.
I don't know why, like, I never really disliked her. Like, I see people all the time online who are like, I fucking hate Laura Moon. Like, I hate her so much. She's so irredeemable. And I'm like, yeah, she's a bitch and she's flawed and she's made a shit ton of, mistakes and all that. But I don't know. It's like she's so real in that sense that
she's paid for it a million times over.
Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, she fucking died. Like,
what else you want from her?
I don't know what else you want. Like, but, I felt that scene was very sad. When Laura says, I wish I would have known all this before I started fucking my own life up. Because you could tell that this was a girl who thought that she was undeserving of love and that she couldn't be herself around someone, that she always had to put a front on. That's why I always loved her dynamic with Sweeney, right? Because she was truly who she was, a miserable fucking person, right? She couldn't be that. She couldn't be that with Shadow. She felt like she had to be this other sort of person with Shadow. And, my parents are still together. But I know from a lot of people who have divorced parents that it's a thing that kids blame themselves. And I think that this was, touching upon that, where Laura it's like, Laura, you're a little girl. How were you to be blamed for your father, having an affair? How are you to be blamed for a divorce? But this is what kids think. This is what kids who have divorced parents think, and I don't want to overgeneralize, right? I'm sure there are plenty out there who don't think that. I'm just saying that from what I've always heard my whole life, it's like that's a huge thing. And it was playing with that with this scene with Laura.
It was really tragic because could you, I think like, I never hated Laura, but I was also like, golly, she is not a good person. Like, it's very rare that you ever get a character that's just so unabashedly awful. And I feel like the growth we saw in her was very organic. Like, it wasn't forced. Like, with her, like, realizing it's like she loves Sweeney, it's like she's not the type that's going to be like, oh my God, I loved him, he was the love of my life. She's just like, she never fully says it, but she literally gave up her own chance at life just to have a chance of bringing him back.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, she clutches that box like nobody's business.
I know. She clutches it like she's afraid it's going to get stolen.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I'm like, that's how it is with Laura. She's not going to say it outright. It's going to be in actions that she reveals.
She's like Megatha. I won't say I'm in love.
But she'll definitely show it. But no, I love it. This scene with Laura was just so emotional and so needed for her character development. I saw a few people who were saying like, oh, well, Laura's now regressed. Now she's gone back to being a bitch. And I'm like, Laura's never going to be like this happy-go-lucky person. Which is never going to be the case. I love that she's a human now, and she's still like, I'm going to go kill Wednesday. Nothing stopped.
I like how she couldn't just help her, so she's just like, you know what? I want him dead.
I'm going to kill him. I love when she goes to Mr. Ibis, by the way. This is such a small scene, doesn't really have anything to do with anything, but I wanted to mention it. When Laura is telling Salim that she should say, like, go with him, but they're like, oh, I don't have a car, and Mr. Ibis is like, here, take my car. And Salim says something along the lines of, like, oh, are you just doing this to be nice, or you really want me gone? And Mr. Ibis is like, yes.
I know, it's so desperate. Like, please go
take him away from me.
I was like, dang, you want to go out of here.
But I like Laura having the clarity now. And yeah, her crying, I was like, oh my God, she's crying. Have we seen Laura cry?
I'm interested to see how her interaction with Shadow is going to be.
I know.
Does it go well, or does it go okay?
It goes surprisingly well. It's in episode 6, which is out now on the Stars app, so you can watch it. And by the time this episode goes up too, it'll definitely have been out. So no, I mean, it's a nice interaction. Actually, to me, I feel like it's the best fucking interaction they've ever had. Because
I'm ready for it now.
Yeah, because I think Laura and Shadow have finally realized that their relationship will never be like a romantic one,
Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
I'm okay. Like, they could be friends. I have no problem with that. Just like, I don't think they're good with each other romantically, and I think that the both of them have realized it. But Brittany, I'm really surprised that for your like 5 picks that there's no Chernabog on here.
Okay. I forgot. So now I kind of wish I did, but
I mean, we can talk about
waking up situation this morning. I was a little rushed.
Well, we can definitely talk about honorable mentions afterward. So, that's perfectly fine. I'm here for it. But great number 2. Let's get down to the number 1 on our top 10 American Gods Season 3 moments so far. For number 10, we have Shadow and the Old Lady. For number 9, we have Miss World's introduction. We have Demeter's introduction. For number 8, we have, for number 7, Hinselman introducing Shadow to Lakeside. For number 6, we have Laura Moon coming back to life. For number 5, we have 1893 Technical Boy. Number 4, we have Odin going to the institution. For number 3, we have Technical Boy trying to get Bilquis back on their side. Number 2, we have Laura Moon learning that everything is not her fault. And number 1, I'm sorry, I love Technical Boy and Shadow teaming up with each other.
I do too. They're so good together. I like when he punches him, not to interrupt, when he punches him and he's like, that's for lynching me. And he's like, I apologize. And he's like, the apology is not accepted and never will be. And I was like, oh, holy shit, I forgot he did that.
I loved it. I really, I sat there and I'm like, why did they decide for Shadow and Technical Boy to team up? Because, realistically, their characters, should never team up, right? But yeah. I really feel like because the actors, you could tell they're, really, friends outside of things, just, how they interact on such... Yeah, so I'm like, they probably were just like, wow, Ricky and Bruce have, such a great chemistry with each other. Let's just, have them team up. So,
bromance.
What'd you say?
So what a beautiful bromance.
I love their bromance. So I love it. I love Shadow going to Bilquis. I'll do a quick recap of the whole events. I love Shadow going to Bilquis's home, seeing it being in disarray. You see Technical Boy at first sitting there crying with his, hands shaking, blood on him, thinking at first that Technical Boy is responsible. And him, showing Shadow, no, I showed up after the fact. This is what happened. Which, by the way, I love, the showcasing of Technical Boy's powers this season, that he can control the cameras, that he can, I love when Shadow's what'd you say?
I was trying to interrupt. There was a slight delay, but I was going to say him knowing who's calling.
Yeah, exactly. Or I just love when Shadow's like, give me the phone, and Techno Boy absorbs it, and he's like, you asshole.
It's you're like, what is that? Don't put it in your mouth, and they instantly shove it in their mouth before you can get it, and you're like, you fucker.
Fucker. So I love that, and as just as you said, Brittany, I love Shadow slamming his head down on the bar, and he's like, that's for lynching me. And him I already told you sorry. He's like, not accepted then, not accepted ever. I love their little road trip where they're in the car, they go get that guy. By the way, wasn't that fucking hilarious when they get the guy and Shadow's acting as if Techno Boy's an alien, and he's show him what you can do, and he's like, have you ever been probed before? I thought that was so funny.
Tech was having way too much fun with it.
Techno Boy is definitely unnerved, because wasn't he like, I will skin you alive? And I was like, take it down. Oh yeah. And Shadow's just like, what the fuck?
He was feeling himself.
I love the whole thing. I love then when they're getting gas and Techno Boy's like, Daddy's calling, and then when they're getting finally to the facility, right? And Shadow's like, all right, do your thing. And he's like, my thing? And he's like, yeah, your thing. And he's like, you think I would be here with you if I could do my thing? And when they're looking... And by the way, the fact that Shadow had all these guns. Oh wait, isn't that the no? Is that the car?
The guy that they took.
Oh, okay, because I was like, why does he have all these guns? But then I love Technical Boy thinking he's gonna get a gun, and he's so excited, and Shadow's like, no, give me that back. You don't get a gun.
God, that's supposed to be much older than Shadow. He's still so childlike.
I know. I just love Shadow just being 100% done with Technical Boy, and he's just he's bossing Technical Boy around, and I loved it. I thought it was great.
I think they have great chemistry. I think we're definitely going to see Tech switch sides, though, eventually.
I have a feeling about that. I really do, because, the new gods are not serving him, it's the old gods that are really, I mean, even though Shadow's not like quote unquote an old god, like still more associated with the old gods, his team up with Shadow, his interactions with Bilquis, like I think that Technical Boy is, being better taken care of in a sense by the older gods than the newer gods. If that makes sense.
Do not like treat him like Errand Boy.
Yeah, exactly. And I still got to tell you about what Mr. World says to him in episode 6 after we're done with this podcast. But I really think that Technical Boy should switch sides. It's not even a case of like, does he? I think he should. I don't think he should be with the new gods anymore because things are not going in a good direction. But yeah. Technical Boy teaming up with Shadow is definitely my number one. I couldn't wait for that. I looked forward to it. And when it happened, I was elated. I was like, this is what I wanted. When I heard that they were going to team up.
Happy now.
I loved it. But Brittany, I know that we have probably some honorable mentions, so why don't we get that out so that we can talk about it before we wrap everything up today.
I love Chernobog, and I love that, like, Shadow actually thought to bring stuff, and then Wednesday had to one-up him and get better of everything.
I loved Chernobog and that they were having a funeral for Zoraya, which the actress did just pass away a couple of weeks ago, Cloris Leachman, so, she did a phenomenal job as that character. I loved that funeral scene with Chernobog where he was like, oh, you think I won't, I didn't forget about the fact that I'm still supposed to kill you, And it's like, all right, just shut up and take the fucking vodka. Which I feel that everyone brought vodka, by the way. Fucking Shadow brought it, Wednesday brought it, and I'm pretty sure I saw Mr. Ibis bring it as well.
I forgot, was Mr. Ibis there? Oh, wait, yeah, he was. Yeah, because Celine got there.
Yeah, Celine was there. I love Celine yelling at Wednesday. And I loved him telling Shadow, you should have let the leprechaun kill him. And I was like, damn, Celine. Someone did a side-by-side comparison to when Wednesday is telling Celine, like, oh, he pumped you and dumped you, get over it. And it's the same thing that he says to Sweeney at the end of season 2, where he's like, oh, did she break your heart? Did she leave? Get over it.
Oh.
That's an asshole. But I loved Chernobog and Wednesday doing... What'd you say?
I said such an unloving asshole for someone that wants to reclaim Demeter's heart.
I loved Wednesday and Chernobog doing their little... whatever the fuck that was at the funeral.
Oh, yeah, their little dance, their little, like, war thing, whatever the fuck it was.
I forgot what it was called.
I like when Wednesday was like, oh, we're gonna... I'm trying to think of the word for it. Like, basically, when he implies that he could have grabbed Chernobog, but Chernobog may kill all these old people, and you're like, oh, great. That's great.
I think it's super interesting having all these like war gods in this like season. I know Chernobog isn't say a war god per se; he's a death god. Same fucking thing. You have Wednesday as a war god, and Tyr is a war god. Like I looked him up; like he's an actual like god in Norse mythology. So that's interesting. Like Odin's not the only god of war in the Norse mythology. Tyr is as well. Which I think...
bow to him.
What did you say?
They all just kind of bow to Odin.
Yeah, I think that's something that is going to get played into later in the season. I just don't, understand why introduce another war god if we're not going to have, say, like a power play,
Yeah.
For me, I have a bunch of honorable mentions, so I'll go through them quickly. I love the opening to the season. Because I was like, oh, that makes sense that Odin gets his worship from, like, Norse death metal bands. Because, like, that's a thing. Yeah, it felt right. I loved Marguerite's introduction just pointing a gun at Shadow. I loved it. I love Mr. Ivis telling Celine to just go. I thought that was funny. Laura Moon's whole entire thing in Purgatory was great. You kind of mentioned that as well. Bilquis discovering who she was with the help of the Orishas.
Oh, I had my honorable mention, so I'm glad you said that because that was
sorry.
Very cool. No, why are you sorry? No, I'm saying, like, I forgot to add that because I was going to talk about it, but then I was like, there's a lot to unpack there, and I don't know if I have, like, the right words for it.
Yeah, and I don't know if I do either. It's very interesting. I didn't know who the Orishas were. From my understanding, they're, spirits to help, people of African descent. So it's like they're there to help Bilquis. I was talking to someone and it's like, I don't think that Bilquis is an Orisha. I think that Bilquis is being helped by the Orishas because they're there for her. So I think that was the thing. And her just, realizing that she doesn't need to be trapped in that facility anymore, that she has this immense power was really great. And again, I just fucking love Bilquis, so, anything with her.
Out of there, though. Texted, I'm out of here.
Oh my God, as soon as he saw her, he was just like, nope, peace.
I'm out of here.
I really think that's because it's like he wanted her to, help him, but then I think as soon as he saw her, I think that it just did something in him where it was like, oh shit, I think his emotions are going all out of whack, and they were being even more out of whack being in that close proximity to her again. I think that's what it is.
Because we've seen that when he's in emotional distress, and in the other he starts really going haywire. And I think seeing, he started going haywire when he saw her. It was like something went off in him. But I hope that, do they have an interaction in the next episode?
Not in episode 6, no.
Okay. I want to see it. I want to know.
I know. But I loved how Shadow, though, was looking at Bilquis in awe, because it's in general, that's how we should all look at Bilquis.
Right.
By the way, Yetedi Badaki needs to be in the MCU. She was displaying big superhero energy in that moment. I was like,
Storm in that moment.
Right? Come on. If she's not Storm, Marvel, what are you doing? But
right.
Brittany, this is a great top 10. I love that we got together to talk about it. There was so much to talk about, so I'm glad that we're doing it splitting up. For those who are listening, again, this is episodes 1 through 5. We'll get together after the season finale, and we'll do 6 through 10, which will be exciting. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of new scenes for that as well. I saw episode 6, and I already started writing down notes. So I think that...
You were already ready.
I'm ready. I'm fucking ready always. But Brittany, what are you looking forward to the rest of the season? What do you want happening for the rest of the season?
I want Sweeney to come back, or at least an interaction with maybe a past Sweeney, so she can have closure. I want... I'm trying to think. What else? I want more Demeter. Mm-hmm. I want to see Tech, get a new, Laudit life. And also, I want to know if Laura Moon's going to become a god.
Oh, that would be interesting.
It said she had a powerful destiny, but also that makes powerful enemies.
Yes, it does.
And who said that Shadow could be the only demigod?
Very true. Very true. I want Technical Boy to survive this. I want Laura Moon to accomplish her mission. I'm very interested in seeing the new leprechaun in the street. We haven't seen him yet. For those who don't remember, we're supposed to get another leprechaun. He's not in episode 6, so I'm waiting for him.
I thought we would have saw him already.
Yeah, I guess they need to go through like Laura's, becoming alive again thing for that. But yeah, I'm super excited. I'm just here for the ride. I want a great conclusion to season 3. I want to be confirmed that season 4 is going to happen. And yeah, but Brittany, before we head out today, why don't you let everyone know where they can find you, what you got going on next, and all that good stuff.
Gonna say you can always find me on Twitch at Itty Bitty Brit. I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14, which is an online MMO, which I feel like online and MMO should go together and not be two separate words. But I've been playing a lot of that. Find me at Twitter at Itty Bitty Brit 0, where I do a lot of my scheduling. I don't know, I've had a lot of good times streaming lately. Like, I always love streaming, but it's just seemed particularly awesome lately. So that's where you can find me.
When you talk about MMO, all I think about is Worlds Inc. That's all I think about MMOs.
I wish tech would bring that up.
Right? I just think that's, oh God. That's something I could dive into at another point, but I just think that whole concept is so interesting. But yeah, Brittany, I'm glad that you were able to finally come on. I look forward to plenty of other Sundays with doing the top 10 with you. We're gonna be back. We're gonna be back every Sunday. You're gonna find us. Well, it goes up after Sunday, but you know what I'm saying. We're recording every Sunday. We'll have some new and exciting top 10, so make sure that you check that out. Make sure you check out Brittany. As for me, as I said, please, I would love for people to just support our top 10. We're getting really, close in our, numbers and everything. And we are on YouTube, Geek Vibes Podcast. We are like 90 people away from reaching our 1,000 subscribers. So please make sure that you check that out. You can check us out, geekvibesnation.com. Has links to all of our social media accounts. We do just so much. We're just here all the time with opinion pieces, reviews, news, podcasts, videos, and all that good stuff. So make sure you check it out. And we will see you guys next time on the Top 10 for Geek Vibes Nation. Bye.
Bye, guys.